you looked at me and you're like, man, this guy's got the physique, this guy's got the strength, this guy's got the job, he's got the position, he's got it all going. But I was miserable. That's my greatest failure, is finding this level of success without fulfillment.
You can win the world and you can still lose yourself. What if your body's thriving, but your soul, it's starving?
The way I had been living, the way I had been striving, the way I had been pushing, the way I had been constantly living left me with 4 precancerous polyps in my colon and a precancerous ulcer in my stomach that was actively bleeding. And they said, man, we don't know if you're going to see 35.
It might sound like a story about health, but underneath, it's about surrender. This is about what happens when you stop trying to impress the world around you and you let God reshape your mind.
If I wasn't impressive, I would have no purpose. If I had no purpose, I would be nothing. If I was nothing, my soul would die. That was my belief. That was what I thought. And as I nurtured and got truly in deep with this relationship with God, he was able to say, Justin, you're a born leader. I created you to create. If you can be nothing, I can make it something. And that's impressive.
This is Justin Roethlingshoefer. I still use the wired headphones.
Yeah.
And people think I'm a joke.
I do too.
And I'm like, I call it my umbilical cord. I don't go anywhere without it. And they're like, why don't you just use the AirPods? I'm like, I could just put my head in a microwave and I'd get the same thing. Like, why would I do that? I'm already getting enough of it.
Yep.
Like, phone's always in my back pocket. Don't sleep with it by the bed. People are so fucking unaware, man.
So unaware. And when you look at your phone, like if you actually go into, on Apple, you go into settings and it's into terms and conditions or something. It's right in an area, maybe it's legality, I can't remember, but I took a picture of it, I'll show you after. But it literally says that if you hold the phone within, it's 5 centimeters of your body, you're exposed to deathly rays that can create disease.
Yeah.
It literally says it in the phone, which is why, again, I carry my phone in my bag at all times. It doesn't sit on my person.
Mm-hmm.
And then if I do have to have it on me, I'll put it in airplane mode. Mm-hmm. And it's not ideal, but I just don't want that. Like if somebody who made something goes, oh, by the way, what I just made causes disease, don't put it within this, I'm probably going to listen.
Yeah. Yeah. And we're so attached to them. But we're trained to be attached to them because that's where our email is. That's where our texts are. It's just.
So I've got this theory that it's like a major revelation. Adam and Eve were put on this earth. They had a first sin that separated them or disconnected them from God, disconnected them from their purpose, their mission, what they were called to do. And they got disconnected through the first sin, which was taking a bite of a piece of fruit. Today, we're more disconnected than ever. We are more disconnected than while being falsified as we're actually connected. And the company that's leading it has a logo that is a piece of fruit with a bite taken out of it. And the first computer was sold in 1976 for $666.66. Wow. And we don't think that technology is ushering in some type of evil coercion. Like, that's wild to me.
Yeah. I had no idea. I mean, I've always recognized the Apple, obviously, like that's the name, but I had no idea it was $666.66.
1976.
Wow.
And they sold it for that because he said he loves number alliteration. So why not 77777?
Yeah. Like, why not a better number? Yeah, like, let's find a better number here. Yeah, I think the craziest part to me is how blind people are to it.
Do you think it's because they're blind, or do you think it's because they don't want to see?
I think it's both. I think some of it is they're blind, whether it's because of their religious beliefs, their political beliefs, what they've been told, how they've been raised. I think some of it is they're blind. I think some of it is they don't want to see. Like, I look at my father, for instance, like, love the man to death, an amazing human. Breakfast for him is usually a piece of toast and a cookie. Mm-hmm. Bad idea. Like, not going to be good.
Less
right?
than optimal.
Right. And then he wonders why he's having like knee replacements and stuff like that. But that's like how he was raised.
Yeah.
And so I think he would see if he would open himself up to the potential of seeing it. So I think there's a part of him that's like, hey, I don't want to see how much work and energy and effort I'd have to go into changing this.
Sure.
But I think there's also a part of it is just like he's blind to it because that's just how he was raised. That's how he grew up. That's what he was around.
The more that I've been exposed to it, and the more that I've just been open to it, a lot of us, and we can talk a lot about this on the podcast, where I think the health and wellness industry is actually taking people backwards. And I think the enemy has actually infiltrated the health and wellness industry, especially with this most recent, you probably saw the article, 54% less alcohol consumption in the United States. Everyone's celebrating it. Everyone's like, oh, we're going more sober. Like, this is so amazing. We're taking like more into the health space. No. You fail to understand that 54% drop in alcohol consumption, but a 72% increase in other mind-altering substances. Yeah. And all of these functional beverages, and all of these different type of psilocybin retreats, and all of these different marijuana products, we're still masking something. Yeah. We're still trying to change how we feel. And we're calling something like Running Man. I love Jesse, I love Devin, but we're calling Running Man like this place where we find connection. No. All you're getting is a feeling that you're falling in love with.
Right.
You're not actually connecting, because whether you're getting smoked and absolutely gassed in a sauna or whether you're doing it in a bar, it's just a different location.
Yeah.
And you're still not healing the identity and the wounds and the brokenness that we're all sitting with. And until you're willing to face that head on, that's when true healing happens. That's when true transformation.
Why aren't people willing to face it?
Because I think they're scared of what's there.
Yeah.
And it's easier to mask it. It's more comfortable. And we've become such a culture of tolerance. I'm just going to tolerate how everybody is. I don't want to ruffle anybody's feathers. I don't want to offend anybody. And because we don't offend somebody, we actually just allow them to watch them drive into a wall.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to tell you, hey, bro, it's probably not awesome to go to a Coldplay concert with your mistress.
Yeah. Who's the head of HR?
Yeah. Who's the head of HR? Then somebody, I guarantee you people knew about it.
Yeah.
But nobody wanted to offend him. And so, yeah, just let him kind of do his thing. But instead made the guy drive into a brick wall.
Yeah.
But if somebody actually sat down and had a conversation and said, hey, you know what? I know you're going through some hard things. I know some pressure's high. I know, but this probably isn't an awesome idea.
Yeah.
Like, that's a friend.
Yeah.
But we go right back to how we started. The world is in a space of disconnection.
Yeah.
And when we're in a world of disconnection, the relationships we have are transactional. Yeah. And when we live in transactional relationships, we actually don't realize transformation. And transformation is only existing within the truth, but we don't even know what the truth is anymore.
How did you find the truth?
I mean, for me, are we in podcast mode now?
The whole time. That was so good. Why couldn't we? Had to be, dude. That was fire. Like, you have to be.
I mean, to be honest, like, I grew up in a Christian home, and I knew who Jesus was as a young boy. But for me, to be honest with you, there was probably 15 years where I walked away and tried to do my own thing, because kind of coming back to this is when I looked at the church and I looked at the people in the church, I didn't see anybody that I was really excited to look up to. Mm-hmm. I didn't see anybody who was dominant in your health. I didn't see anybody who was physically fit. I didn't see anybody who had a relationship with their spouse that I was like, man, I want that. I didn't see anybody who was a parent that loved on their kids so well that it made them feel like they could do anything in the world. And I was like, man, if this is what church is, I don't want anything to do with it. I want to stay as far away from this as possible. And actually, where I found a lot of what I felt I wanted was in athletics. But yet when you get deeper into that world, you find that it's fitness, it's girls, it's drugs, it's alcohol, it's fast cars and freedoms, but it's so empty. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't until I was like, you know what? It's not about a religion. It's about a relationship. Mm-hmm. It's about a relationship with Jesus. And what does that look like? And when you have a relationship, it goes back to almost like this example of like if you crash a car and your earthly father, you call him, he's going to be all mad at you. He's going to punish you. He's going to get upset at you. He's going to take your car away and you're never going to get another one again. Versus if you call your heavenly father, he's going to be like, man, it's okay. we're going to fix this.
Yeah.
We're going to help you. We're going to get you back on the road. We're going to reroute some things. We're going to rearrange some things. He's just going to love on you. He's going to bring you back in. And that relationship versus religion is what we're looking for. We're looking for a relationship to create peace, to create this tranquility. We are spiritual beings living in a physical world. Mm-hmm. And the moment that we recognize that the hole everybody's trying to fill with some type of event, some type of substance, some type of video, some type of feeling, some type of success can only be replaced by a Jesus-sized key. And that makes you whole. And once you become whole, that's when you become dangerous. Because now you're stepping into your calling. Now you're stepping into purpose. Now you're stepping into freedom. Now you're stepping into creativity. Now you're stepping into actually what has been programmed into you from a very young age. And that is this newfound realization. And that is exciting.
So I don't want to compare your relationships to the relationship you have with Jesus. That's not what I'm trying to do with this question. But, have you been able to find relationships, whether it's through significant other, whether it's through friends, whether it's through mentors, whether it's through peers, that mirror a relationship similar to that, where like you do crash the car in your example and they call you and say, hey, we got this. We're going to fix this. We're going to make it right.
Yeah, I think so. To be honest with you, I was terrible at building relationships, man. I was like the transactional king. And it wasn't until I actually realized that I love people and I don't want to use them for what they have. I want to actually understand their heart. Mm-hmm. And I think in this world, we've still built that. Everything's based on a transaction. Hey, what can you do for me? What can I do for you? If you win and I win, that justifies what I'm about to say and what I'm about to do. Rather than going, Matt, I just want to get to know you. Like, what's in your heart? Like, what are you struggling with? What really is difficult for you? And I expect absolutely nothing in return. And I just want to be here to like be a good friend. And I just want to get to know you. I want to get to know your family. I want to get to know like what makes you tick. Yeah. What's that like calling and mission on your life? What are you ready to go attack? How can I encourage you? How can I uplift you? And it's crazy that when you start to actually build relationships like that are built with a heart center, that's when everything changes. And my wife and I tell this story often, is our relationship didn't start out that way. Our relationship started in long distance. And so we had to build a relationship that was built on communication. We had to build a relationship that was asked on genuine interest. We had to build a relationship that was built on getting to know one another. But when we both started our relationship, I was, it was 9.5, almost 10 years ago. I was just coming back to Jesus. Like Jesus was like tugging on my heart, like, come on, buddy. Like I got something here. And within a year was kind of leading us in that direction. But Elise was not yet, she hasn't even accepted Jesus into her heart. Like she was hurt Catholic, like a lot of other people in a religious setting, and really didn't know who that was. But you look at us both today versus both then, and it's like we're living a different relationship because we can be so honest, so open, so raw, and we're so connected. And that level of connection is what people are actually seeking, is what they're looking for. This closeness, this intimacy, this honesty. Like, I want to look into your eyes and I want to like know your soul. And when I know your soul, we can actually then start to help one another and be teammates.
Right.
And that is, I think, what we're truly looking for. And in order for me to actually get there, I had to start pruning a lot of things out of my life. I had to start pruning people out. I had to start pruning things that I did out, activities out, environments out. I had to really start being very picky as to what I invested my time, energy, and attention towards. And that was the only way I was able to do that was through being obedient to what God was calling me to. Because otherwise, I would have chose what I wanted, right, which wouldn't have got me to where He wanted me to go.
Right, but choosing what you wanted actually has led you to where you are, right? Like you chose what you wanted early in your fitness journey, which essentially built a prison that you were trapped into. Yeah. You had the body that you thought others would accept. You had, all the performance that you thought others would accept, but deep down inside of you, you felt pain, you felt hurt, you felt loneliness. What did that transition look like? What did that flip look like? How did you finally wake up one day and go like, I am chasing the exact opposite thing that I need to be chasing?
So I grew up a fat kid, and growing up a fat kid, you're always picked on, you're always teased, you're always left out. That fat kid ultimately, as you can imagine, as typically you see the pendulum swing, became the anorexic kid. The anorexic kid that had kidney and liver failure at 16 years old. And there was this need and desire from a very young age. I don't know what the exact age or the exact moment, but a desire to seem impressive. Like, man, like you've got it going on. Man, you're really good. Man, I'm going to validate you.
Do you think that comes from you weren't getting it from your parents, or you weren't getting it from the community you lived in?
No, I think I got it from my parents all the time. My parents were the most supportive, loving people. I grew up in an amazing home. But a lot of it came from the pursuit of sport, because that's where I got my validation. And I got my validation from doing great things. I got my validation from winning. I got my validation from accomplishing. And so I had this performance heart generated within me. And so as this anorexic kid realized that, hey, you know what? I need to heal some way, and happened to have a coach that spoke some life into me, was able to get me to a healthy enough spot to get down here to the States on a hockey scholarship. And the next 6-7 years of my life was pursuing education to really be able to say, hey, I don't want anybody to ever feel like I did, being paraded through all of these specialist offices and doctors' offices and therapists and clinics, just trying to be told what was wrong with you. Rather, why was it happening? How did we get to this point? And as I continued to move through that, I had yet failed to heal or recognize that my heart was still postured in a place of performance, was still postured in a place of needing to be impressive. And so even though you got to the places of the National Hockey League as a strength coach, even though you got to speak on these national stages, even though you got to start writing books, even though you started to run triathlons and run high rocks races and all of these things that were impressive to people, I internally was breaking down, and I could feel it. And at 31 years old, I'll never forget, I started to bloat every single time I ate. I had headaches that wouldn't go away. I had like distorted sight in a bunch of things. I had body pains every time I woke up. I'd fall asleep. I wouldn't stay asleep. Went to every doctor you could imagine. In the NHL, it was like, hey, here's where we need to go. Let's try and see what it is. Nobody could figure it out. But at the end of the day, the way I had been living, the way I had been striving, the way I had been pushing, the way I had been constantly living, left me with 4 precancerous polyps in my colon and a precancerous ulcer in my stomach that was actively bleeding. And they said, man, we don't know if you're going to see 35. And I was like, this is where it's gotten me. This is where striving, this is where pushing, this is where pursuing, this is where trying to be impressive got me. And it was at that time that, again, the Lord just spoke to me and said, man, this is not an athlete problem that you're trying to solve. This is a human problem, and you are the you are the exact person. Like, you are the high-performing person. You are the guy that wants to do good for people, but ultimately thinks he needs to sacrifice his body for his mission, and needs to ultimately be strung high and wide in the pursuit of doing it. But none of us have ever been asked to ultimately sacrifice our body. We've only ever asked to be obedient. And I wasn't being obedient. I was doing what I wanted to do. I was pushing, I was driving, you looked at me and you're like, man, this guy's got the physique, this guy's got the strength, this guy's got the job, he's got the position, he's got it all going. But I was miserable. That's my greatest failure, is finding this level of success without fulfillment. And as I left the NHL and started to own it, and really on this pursuit to help others understand what this looks like, healing from the inside out, mental, physical, spiritual, emotional, all together, it was this own journey that I had to go on, this own recognition that I had to understand. And it came down to this one thing, because the first year after I left the NHL, bro, that is a dark time. My identity's gone. I don't know what I'm doing with my life. I'm starting back at ground zero. The guy that always wanted to be impressive is now not impressive. And I still remember doing some deep, deep work on myself. And I sat there and I ran through this belief system. If I wasn't impressive, I would have no purpose. If I had no purpose, I would be nothing. If I was nothing, my soul would die. That was my belief. That was what I thought. And as I nurtured and got truly in deep with this relationship with God, he was able to say, Justin, You're a born leader. I created you to create. If you can be nothing, hands open, humble, if you can be nothing, I can make it something. And that's impressive.
And so that's what led you back to yourself, finding yourself, healing yourself, getting right on the right path.
Yeah, it all started, like, you have to recognize that we are mental, physical, spiritual, emotional beings. Like, all of those intertwine, all of those intersect. We try in this world to disseminate them, disintegrate them. But if we disintegrate them, then we disintegrate our health, because we can't be seen as segmented beings. We are holistic and unified beings. And so you can't just go and do one thing for health or physical health and one thing for mental health and one thing for spiritual health. They all overlap. And our order is often out of order. And so the world tells us, oh, let's start with the body. Let's get you physically fit. Let's go to the gym. Let's eat well. Let's get on a diet. Let's get into some recovery routines. Let's get to bed on time. And let's really start to be consistent with that. Well, what happens is, because we only focus on the body, we then cloud ourselves emotionally. Well, it's like, man, I'm not consistent enough. Man, I didn't stick with it. Man, I'm not good enough. Man, this belief system that I still have from when I was 5 years old tells me that I'm not good enough. So this ultimately erodes my mindset, which tells me that I'm never going to make this, that I'm never going to be able to do it, that I'm not far enough along, and thus disconnects us or separates us spiritually from what our true identity is. But if we flip that upside down and we started with our spiritual connection and knew exactly whose we were, who created us, what the call in our life was, why we have to have a reverence for our body, because our body is the only tool that we have to execute on our calling, that ultimately strengthens our mindset and knows I'm exactly where I need to be. I may not have it figured out today, but I know I'm on a journey, which ultimately heals our heart and takes us from this performance heart or this addicted heart or this place of striving to this space of peace, this space of freedom, this space of feeling like I've really got this going. And then it aligns our habits and our behaviors very purposefully. So you no longer need motivation. You have inspiration to walk in it consistently, done over the course of time, to create the inevitable outcome of true health, vibrance, and impact and influence over the long period of time.
So you're in the darkest place maybe in your life, right? You leave the NHL, like you said, you lose your identity, you lose your significance, your soul's going to die. It sounds like you started with spirituality. That's where you went first.
So to be honest with you, and again, it's so funny how God works, is having my wife next to me, she was just the biggest champion. And she saw me struggle. She saw me wrestle with this every single day. And we were just talking about COVID before we started. And it was 2020. I had left the league in December of 2019. Was in New York City. Hard place to start up. And all I knew was that I had this calling. I wanted to be able to integrate mental, physical, spiritual, emotional, the way that I was really managing athletes at the NHL level, using data, using testing, using DNA, epigenetics, cellular work, being able to integrate it all together and create this holistic ecosystem. But it was just me. I no longer had a team that I was managing. I no longer knew how to bring it all together. I didn't even know how to communicate it to a businessman so that he should care about it, or a businesswoman so that she would even take a second look at it. But I put it on a flyer and I stood outside of business buildings and luxury condos in downtown New York City, right in Manhattan. You go from running and being a part of the Anaheim Ducks organization to standing outside of a luxury business building with flyers, being told to go kick rocks and like, get out of here. And like, who are you?
Yeah, no soliciting.
And it's like, wow, that's nothing. And there was a lot of embarrassment. It got to the point where 3 hours every morning, I would literally grab my phone and I would go in through LinkedIn. I'd look up all the different founders, all the different people, and I'd send a message. I'd go, hey, Matt, good morning. My name's Justin Roethlingshoefer. I'd love to be able to have just a conversation and give you some more opportunity to step into more impact and influence by managing your health in a different way. I know you probably get a lot of messages like this, but hopefully this video will make us just have a little bit of a relationship. We can have a conversation. Almost 2.5, 3 hours every single morning, hundreds of videos every single week. Ultimately got, over the course of the next 5 months, my first 15 clients. And that's how this whole thing started. And then COVID happened. Everything shut down. So now it's all gone again because people are like, yeah, we can't do this, because I was doing it all in person. Went down to our house down in Naples, Florida, and I'll never forget, 4 months later, I hadn't been working. My wife's the breadwinner by far at this point, and she's just carrying everything, and I'm just down in the dumps. I'm just like, man, maybe I'm not supposed to do this. Maybe this isn't what I'm supposed to do. Maybe I made a bad decision. Maybe I'm a fraud. And my wife, after carrying this guy for 4 months, goes, you know what? Just go out in the kayak and be with God. Like, just go ask what you're supposed to do and stop trying to strive. And I said, no, I need to figure this out. I don't need to be in a kayak. Yeah. She goes, no, just go be in a kayak. Just go be quiet. Go out on the water. So begrudgingly, I grab the kayak, I slide it out, I get in the water, and I start paddling. And about 10 minutes in, I get like this vision, and I can't describe it any other than like it was a cloudy plate of glass that was like in front of me. And instead of picking up my phone and distracting me, I leaned in, and there was this little almost like bullet hole with a piece of like sun shining through it. As I looked in, everything spiderwebbed and it fell. And I had this download. I get goosebumps just telling the story. And there was this download. And I grab my phone and I start typing and typing and typing and typing and typing and typing. It was about 2 hours out there. I hit send, sent it to myself in an email. I went inside, put it into a Word document, printed it off. And that became like the starting manifesto for what Own It was. It was the first moment I ever had clarity as to what it was that we were going to create and the movement that we were actually going to step into and why we were doing it and the story behind it and the purpose and the intention and how this actually worked. You fast forward 6 months, and my wife watched me build this iteratively, slowly, obediently. She came up to me. At this point, she was the vice president of Christian Louboutin, helped take them from 250 to north of $1 billion. Just a absolute savant when it came to business. She comes up to me and she goes, I've just been watching you, and I've just have this, I have to ask, I'd love to build this with you because I see what it can be, but I also feel called to something new. I feel called to step into something and use my calling in a different way. And now fast forward, 5.5 years, and we've got a team of just about 50 and helping thousands around North America, and just landed on the Inc. 5000 list. And it's just been such a blessing to be able to walk in and be able to see how it's just changed the way in which we do things. But it all came back to being nothing, being willing to be nothing and lay it all down and be obedient to what it is we were called to.
Yeah, I think what's interesting is I think people listening to this right now will say like, okay, on one hand, it sounds like you're not striving, or you've decided you're no longer going to strive. But then on the other side, you're saying we just landed on the Inc. 5000 list. You're
Sure.
still striving. How do you balance that obedience with still having a drive for success? Like, I can differentiate it in my mind, but for somebody listening that's like, hey, you're contradicting yourself, how would you combat that?
Such a beautiful question, and I love that question, because before I would have said that success was my success. So look how good we are.
Yeah.
We landed on the Inc. 5000 list. We did this. We did that. We didn't do anything. God did that. Yeah. And quite frankly, the size of our business today is the smallest it will ever be if that is God's will and that's what he wants us to do. Yeah. And this isn't going to be the first time. And there's going to be a lot more milestones that come our way. But it's the fruit that you start to experience. It's the fruit that you feel when you walk in obedience with what it is that you're called to. And that's the major difference. It's not that I woke up in the morning and said, our goal for this year is to land on the Inc. 5000. No, I didn't even know what the Inc. 5000 was, to be honest with you. It was like, my wife told me, hey, this is what happened. Oh, that's awesome. Cool.
Keep serving.
What's next? Keep serving.
Yeah.
Let's keep going back. Make sure we build the team. Make sure we serve the team. Make sure we are able to lead the team so that they can continue to serve the people.
So would you say what drives you is service?
What drives me? To be honest with you, what drives me, and this is a word that I've just, it's been so close to my heart for probably the last year and a half, is obedience. And what that might be confusing for some people listening to it, like I don't understand, is I've loved slowing down in order to speed up. Because for so long I did it my way. For so long I thought I did what I needed to do. For so long I did what I thought was the best thing. And it wasn't until I slowed down, got still, silent, and surrendered that I was able to listen to the whispers, listen to the voices in my head, listen to what God was guiding me in, listen to the way in which he wanted me to go, that I was able to be obedient to those whispers and ultimately gain wisdom for what to do next. And so it's like, I call it slow is smooth, but smooth is fast. And slow is that acronym, stillness, silence, surrender, gives you the chance to listen so you can have the opportunity to be obedient and gain wisdom for what to do next. And that's what drives me, because I don't know what's next, Matt. Like, to be honest with you, we're launching a new business in 2 weeks. And that's, quite frankly, doesn't make any sense with the momentum and everything we have with Own It. But we're doing it in obedience because it's what we're being called to. And slowly and surely, as we're being obedient to it, doors are opening and things are coming together. And it's things that like I couldn't even imagine. It's things that I couldn't orchestrate. And that's what fuels me, because I think we put a ceiling on our potential. We put a ceiling on what's called to us because of what the world tells us. Oh, Matt, you're just going to be the CEO of GoBundance. That's what you're going to do. No. That's something I do.
Yeah.
That's something that I found myself in. I have a lot of things that I'm going to do, but I'm going to walk in obedience to find those things out. And when you walk in obedience, the sky is the limit. Like, I think we look at people and we look at certain people's success and we're like, they are so great. They are so good. No. The secret is that they've been able to step back and get silent and step into what they've been called to do. And they've got this wisdom that has found them because they've allowed that to happen and allowed it to come to them. Not out of a sense of, I'm not going to work hard, but a sense of surrendering and then knowing where they have to go and putting deep levels of focus towards it.
So do you still find silence and stillness in your life? Is that now a part of your routine?
1,000%. It is, quite frankly, it's how I start my day and how I end my day. And so first thing when I wake up, I used to be the guy that got up, and this goes back to, again, what do you idolize? And for me, you go back to that young boy, right, who needed to be impressive. What was impressive about me that I thought was how I looked, my physique, my strength, my speed, my power, my ability to do hard things for a long period of time. That's what I thought was impressive. And so I'd wake up in the morning, I'd go work out, I'd spend an hour and a half doing that. Then I'd come in, I'd sauna, I'd cold plunge, I'd do all the things, right? All the things the health and wellness industry tells you to do. But I found myself so chaotic. I found my life so chaotic. I found myself bouncing from one thing to the next, unfocused, unwilling to actually know what direction to go. And when I got my order right, now I wake up, I get my Bible for 20 minutes, I simply read, and then I just sit in stillness and listen. I ask questions. God, where do you want me to go today? God, what do you want me to learn? God, what do you want me to understand? And downloads come, answers come, and I write them down. I write them down. I write them down. I write them down. Thank you. Close it, and then I go get after it. And then I'm able to go start my day. And as soon as I start my day in peace, I start my day in freedom, I start my day with clarity, so I can go and now attack what he's asked me to attack, not what the world has told me is urgent.
Right.
And we have so many of these little tools and frameworks that the world and the self-help place gives us, but self-help has become transactional. And so transaction is not transformation. Transaction is just getting us to another place that will create another obstacle because we haven't truly changed at the heart level. And when you transform at the heart level, man, that's where freedom exists. That's where you're able to go step into something super powerful and super life-changing.
So what's holding people back from transforming from the heart? Is it the mind?
So it's, again, a great question. When we think about the heart is something that is so delicate. And if you go into scripture, you go to Romans 12, 1 and 2. Therefore, brothers and sisters, use your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and pleasing to God. This is your true and proper worship. Romans 12, 2. Do not conform to the patterns of the world, but rather be transformed by the renewing of your mind. When we think of patterns, patterns is simply another word for values, another word for habits, behaviors, actions. And so insert all of those words just under patterns. But when we hear transformed through the renewing, or be transformed by the renewing of your mind, we actually fail to understand or even know that back in the Old Testament when that was written, the mind was just another word for the heart. And so we have to have a renewing of the heart, and there's always an identity piece that sits there. You have an identity that's been attached to you from a young child. Yeah. Who knows what that is? My wife had an identity. Perfectionist. You have to be great. I had an identity. I have to be impressive. Mm-hmm. I'm not good enough. I'm never going to get there. And that identity that we hold on to keeps our heart bound, that ultimately doesn't allow us to operate in freedom, and thus clouds our mind. So remember how I said the order was body, heart, mind, spirit? Body, heart, mind, spirit. That's the world's order. Mm-hmm. When we go from a top down, the whole thing in which we need to connect to our spirit is because our spirit is where our identity lies. Not in what the world has told us, not what your 6th grade teacher told you, not what your mom or dad told you, not what your brother or sister told you, not what your coach told you. But what did God tell you? When God breathed life into you, when he first created you, what did he say? Matt, you're a leader. Matt, you're a warrior. Matt, you're a chain breaker. He gave you an identity. He said, what is Matt? Mm-hmm. But we've forgotten that. We've conformed to the patterns of the world that have ultimately taken on the image of what the world told us we needed to be. And that's why we find ourselves stuck. That's why we find our health decaying. That's why we find ourselves burnt out. That's why we find ourselves striving so hard that we create disease within ourselves. And the moment that we get back to the identity that God gave us, the moment that we get back to the identity that has been breathed into us as a young boy or girl, that's when we have the renewing of our mind. And the renewing of our mind creates the purity of the heart. And when we have a purity of the heart, every action and behavior in our life looks different than what the patterns of the world are.
So what's stopping people from renewing their heart is their inability to connect with their spiritual side.
Their spiritual side and their spiritual identity. And I think a lot of it is because we don't know what a relationship with God looks like. Because we stay away from it because of the same reason I stayed away from it.
Yeah.
Religion.
Yeah.
I don't want rules. I don't want to be punished. I don't want to be told I'm not good enough. I don't want a relationship with the God that I knew as a child. The Jesus I grew up with was vengeful. The Jesus I grew up with disliked me. The Jesus I grew up with looked down upon me when I went to certain places. The Jesus I grew up with didn't like me when I failed. The Jesus I know today, man, he forgives me. Yeah. He loves me. He has mercy. He has a plan for me that's bigger than anything I could ever imagine.
Right.
He has something that is so much bigger for me, and he has something that is so abundant and so great, and a will for me to succeed. He's so kind. Man, I want to be a part of that. And that relationship, when we recognize that, when we realize that, that's what starts to win. That's what creates the freedom.
What if I told you that the biggest breakthrough in your wealth, your health, or your relationships doesn't come from grinding harder, but from finding the right community? GoBundance is a community of over 800 high performers, entrepreneurs, and investors with a combined net worth of over $5.7 billion. But look, it's not just about the money. We're about building lives of abundance. Inside of GoBundance, we hold each other to a higher standard. It's a brotherhood built around 6 core pillars that touch on every aspect of life. So what does that actually look like? Look at guys like Diego Corzo, who after joining GoBundance became financially free, built a large real estate portfolio, gave a TEDx talk, and even got invited to the White House. Or John Edwin, who doubled his passive income while also helping his son launch a business at the age of 15. Even Daniel Del Real, who thought he was at GoBundance for business growth, but realized he needed to transform his health. 8 Ironmans later, he's a completely different man. This tribe is built for men who've already found success, but know there's another level for our families, our health, our purpose, and our legacy. If you're ready for a tribe that challenges you to achieve a higher standard for yourself, visit gobundance.com/tribe. That's GOBUNDANCE.com/TRIBE to apply today. This episode is brought to you by Loletta Birnbaum LLC, doing business justice. If you're a business owner, entrepreneur, real estate investor, or a combination of each, you know how critical it is to have trusted legal advisors on your team. Loletta Birnbaum has built a stellar reputation providing exceptional legal services that make a difference. As a national business law firm, Loletta Birnbaum provides a wide variety of legal services, including general corporate, contract negotiations, mergers and acquisitions, succession planning, intellectual property, commercial litigation, shareholder disputes, real estate, and employment. Whether you're navigating a complex business deal, resolving disputes, or protecting your brand, their team delivers practical, results-driven legal solutions tailored to your goals. For inquiries, GoBundance members should email Loletta Birnbaum at gobundance@loletta.com. That's LAULETTA.com. You can also visit their website at www.lauletta.com to learn more about how they can do your business justice. This episode is brought to you by Apex Functional Health, the team behind age-defying health at GoBundance. If you're a high-achieving entrepreneur, investor, or leader, you know that your health is your greatest asset. But the truth is, traditional medicine isn't built for people like you. It treats symptoms, ignores root causes, and keeps you stuck in cycles of fatigue, stress, and subpar performance. That's where Apex comes in. They do not do Band-Aids. They engineer elite health transformations for men, women, and children looking to optimize their health and be proactive instead of reactive. Apex uses root cause functional medicine, advanced lab testing, and cutting-edge biohacking tools to help you optimize energy, eliminate the root cause holding you back, and reverse early signs of aging so you can live, feel, and perform at your best. Apex helps you take control of your health so you can lead with power, not burnout. Visit apexfunctionalhealth.com to schedule your free strategy call and see what's possible when your body finally works for you, not against you. What's slowing your business down? Is it endless emails, scheduling headaches, repetitive tasks that steal your time? My Outdesk has your solution. Their experienced global virtual assistants handle the busy work so you can focus on strategy, growth, and whatever matters to you most. From administrative support to marketing and customer service, they've got you covered at a fraction of the cost of hiring in-house. Scale smarter, save bigger, get the support you need today at My Outdesk. I've spoken on the podcast a lot about my spiritual journey. Like I tell people all the time, I'm very amateur in my spiritual journey. I didn't grow up in a church.
Yeah.
Grew up very athletic, like you. And my dad always told us, like, church is a place to go be with yourself, to go be still and go find yourself. And for me, that just became the soccer field. Like that was it. I was like, okay, everything else is tuned out. I'm here by myself in my thoughts. And I was fortunate that I was the goalie on the soccer team, which is very ironic because I'm the shortest on the soccer team. But I found a way to compensate for that. But I had a lot of time to sit with my thoughts. Like I wasn't in every single play. I wasn't in every single action. And so, I found peace in that. Now having kids, my wife said, hey, I want to get involved in the church. And so I've really struggled and wrestled with the church because I have gone to the church and all I see is the business of the church.
Yeah.
And all I see is what you're seeing, right? Like, the guy, the pastor gets up and ours is streamed because it's a multi-campus location. So ours is streamed in and a guy gets up and tells you why you're wrong and why you're bad. And I'm like, well, hey, hold on. Like what I know of religion, the very little bit I know of, it's not about being right or wrong. It's about surrendering. And so like, I've really struggled with leaning all into the religion because I've struggled to find what you have found. And I've struggled, the church hasn't helped me find what you have found. And I've looked to the church as like, you're this thing that's supposed to take me to the promised land, And I go there and they pass around the fish fry basket and ask for donations. And I'm like, well, hey, hold on one second. Like if you just served, more money would flow to the church than you ever could imagine.
Yeah.
And so I really have struggled with that in my life. And that's something I'm really wrestling with now. Like most recently, I bought a journal to take with me to church to take the notes of what I need to hear, not the notes of what I'm being told.
It's beautiful.
Like to separate those two things. But for somebody that's wrestling with their spirituality, like me, like you can literally talk to me. Where do they start?
Bro, I just got goosebumps again because I love this conversation. And all I would say is keep wrestling. Don't give up the wrestle because God wants to wrestle with you because it's a paradoxical world. And I want to speak into even the experience that you've had is oftentimes the worst examples of what a relationship looks like with God is found in the church. And don't step in and allow that to be the thing that separates you from a relationship with Jesus because you're not having a relationship with the church.
Yeah.
You're not having a relationship with the pastor. You're called to a relationship with your holy heavenly Father and Jesus. And if you can understand who that is and how he loves you and how he sees you and the freedom he has for you and the abundance and greatness that exists for you, that's when everything starts to change. That's when everything starts to actually heal. And that's where you find the freedom on the other side.
Yeah, like the thing I struggle with is every time I walk into church, the only thing I think about is whoever created that little 2-container packet that we take with the body and the blood is making a fucking killing. Like whoever, like literally, I wonder what they're selling that cracker that's usually stale, that has no flavor. Like I'm like, how much money are these people making? Like this is brilliant. Why didn't I think to say, hey, COVID happened, we can't drink from the cup anymore because we don't want to spread those germs. Let's package them in this little hourglass thing and hand them out to everybody, and the church is gonna have to buy millions of them. Like, it's brilliant.
So funny.
But what I'm also recognizing is the stories that I'm telling myself are a defense mechanism to let myself go there.
Very good.
Because it's scary. It's uncertain. It's like, hey, I've had this, like, let's call it a projection towards what religion was. I've had my own religious beliefs and I've had my own mindset around what religion is. And if I allow that door to open, that might mean that something else is true. Yeah. And like, that's scary for people.
Yes. Because all of a sudden, my gosh, something else existed this entire time and I didn't realize it.
And I was unwilling to accept it. And I like to think of myself as a very accepting person. Like, I'm pretty open to whatever people want to do whatever's up to them. And then like to say that I'm a very open and receptive individual and then look at my life through the lens of the religion, I'm like, but I'm not really showing up that way. Mm-hmm. And then when I morph that back to health, that's like another place that I've not been willing to look at, right? Like our life is built around, oh, you're so busy, stop at McDonald's, we'll get you food fast.
Yep.
Like you're so busy, you can't make coffee, stop at Starbucks, we got you.
Yep.
And so I start to look at all these like patterns, like you said, that can be used. Habits is another word for that. But like I look at all these patterns as just stories we've been programmed that serve somebody else's agenda.
1000%.
So from a health perspective, how do we shake those agendas? How do we shake those patterns? How do we stop the processed food and the red dyes and the fast food and the Starbucks? Like how do we take ownership of our health and what we put in our body?
I love the question because at the end of the day, when we think about what ownership is being willing to live differently. And you highlighted it so well. We've been conditioned to think that dysfunction is normal. We've been highlighted to think that stopping at Starbucks for a coffee in the morning because we're going so fast and need that caffeine hit to carry us through, and then we need to stop there again in the afternoon because we've been just exhausting ourselves back, right, and center, that this is the only way that we're able to actually have some type of energy for when we get home for the kids. And after we actually take them to football, the only thing to actually get them fed is to stop at McDonald's. And then we wonder why when we get home, we have that glass of wine to calm us down and wind us down. And then we turn on TV and we scroll on Netflix, we scroll on Instagram to allow us to kind of have some type of normalcy to our life. And that dysfunction that we operate with, and we wonder why we wake up tired, exhausted, overweight, low testosterone, can't figure out why we have brain fog at 2 p.m, is because we've conformed to the patterns of the world that have always been built to decay us. And the decay, we come back to this, man, I just truly believe that health is spiritual. Like health is built around this. And I'll get into cellular testing, DNA testing, a lot of the things that can actually start to create it and make it a personal thing. Yeah. But you get back to this, right? Is the enemy came to do 3 things: to steal, to kill, and destroy. Anything great. And the greatest creation that God ever made was us. It was the only thing he called very good. And if you come back to this concept, you have a calling on your life that you have to exhibit, but the tool of your body is the only thing that can actually cause it to be executed. And so the enemy aims to do 7 things. He aims to distract us with good things, not God things, distract us with pulling our attention away from where the focus should be. If we get distracted, we can ultimately become disconnected. We become disconnected from ourselves, how our body feels, the fact that we're fatigued, the fact that we're tired, the fact that we just don't feel well. We become disconnected from our people, from our spouses, from our children, from our families, from those that are ultimately meant to hold us accountable. We then get divided. We get divided between our private self and the person that ultimately everybody else knows. We get divided from what we're supposed to be doing versus what it is that we want to be doing. We then start to get discouraged because as we start to do all these things, we're like, man, why am I not seeing progress? Why am I not getting further along? Why am I feeling like this isn't actually where I'm supposed to go? Which then leads to depletion because we're like, man, if this isn't working, I just have to work harder. I just have to spend more time at the office. I just have to wake up a little bit earlier. I just have to go and push that much harder at the gym. I just have to go and spend this much more time sending emails. And that depletion leads to disqualification, where you actually disqualify yourself. Like, man, maybe I wasn't supposed to do this. I had that same example. Sitting down in Florida, man, maybe I'm not supposed to do this. Maybe this is not what I'm supposed to do, which then leads to your destruction because you stop, you give up, you leave, and there's so much potential left on the table that you have yet to even start to explore. And so the way in which we come back to this is we have to eliminate distraction in a ruthless way so we can stay intimately connected to God, intimately connected to us and ourselves, and intimately connected to our people, those that are going to pull us forward. And once we are able to accept that, that's when we can start to recognize that our health can be redeemed, our health can be transformed. We were created so amazingly. 130 trillion cells, upwards of 30 trillion cells. 30 trillion cells that synergistically work together within our body. Up to 300 million of them become completely brand new every 84 days. That means that over the course of a 5 to 7 year period, you and I will become a completely brand new cellular human being. Completely restored, completely renewed, completely regenerated. Whether we start to thrive over the course of those 5 to 7 years, or whether we start to decay, is solely dependent on how you execute your habits, your behaviors, and the patterns in which we operate daily. And our cells need 3 things. They need oxygen, they need the ability to detoxify, and they need nutrients. And all of those things come together. If your cells are missing them, it ultimately creates stress in the body.
So let me ask you a very controversial question.
Yeah.
If our cells need oxygen,
Yeah.
in COVID, they said put on a mask.
Mm-hmm.
In essence, what COVID did and how they tried to defeat COVID, which I think was created intentionally, but let's just say they tried to defeat it, ultimately made us sicker as human beings.
I mean, I don't just think it's the mask. I think it's staying inside. I think it's not exercising. I think it's, hey, you can't go get food, order fast food.
Yeah.
It was literally like, if you look at the game plan for how our cells operate, they need oxygen, they need the ability to detoxify, and they need nutrients. They took those 3 things away in such a massive way. It's no surprise that we started to see continual decay and a longevity of this from everything that was there. And I won't even get into the deep conspiracies that I think are there, that I think were happening, because that could be a podcast all on its own. But we have to come back to how we were created. And if we were created to heal and actually built to thrive, and over the course of a 5 to 7 years, we can completely become brand new, what do we do today in order to make that happen? And stress, the language of our body, is heart rate variability. It's telling us, how am I handling stress? How is my body adapting to stress and strain? How is my body adapting to the habits and behaviors that I have in my life? Is it adapting well and giving me capacity? Am I healing through this? Or is it shrinking my capacity and keeping me in a state of protection, mental, physical, spiritual, emotional stress? The body doesn't know the difference. And is it actually causing me to decay? And so heart rate variability is that number one metric we have to know, we have to understand, and we have to know it intimately. Not just measure it, because a lot of us have Whoops or Auras or Garmin's or some type of wearable device, and all we're doing is we're watching ourselves decay. We're watching this number and we justify as why it's low. Rather than knowing, hey, I know my body needs oxygen. The language of oxygen is VO2 max. How do I improve that? Hey, I know my body needs to detoxify. I know the language of detoxification is sleep quality. How do I improve that? Hey, I know my body needs nutrients. I know the language of nutrients is cellular deficiency of vitamins, minerals, amino acids. How do I optimize for that? Just because you have testosterone deficiency does not mean you need more testosterone, because hormones are top of the pyramid functions. We need to get down to the base level of the pyramid, which is what creates everything, which is vitamins, minerals, amino acids. And how do we get to that level? You start to optimize for oxygen, you optimize for detoxification, you optimize for nutrient capacity within the body. Naturally, HRV increases because stress decreases. Naturally, cells start to increase in their health and vibrancy. Naturally, biological age drops and your capacity increases. That's how we heal with an inevitable outcome that we have to start to do if we're willing to actually see our callings and purpose come through.
Yeah, so you don't know this, but the first time I ever met you, you spoke on stage for Adam Roach at the I Love Coaching Summit. And I went into that thinking that I was like on top of the world, right? And then I watched your speech, and you totally destroyed the image I had of myself, which was I always thought HRV was like a golf score. And like lower is better. So I'm like, dude, HRV 18, like that's on fire. HRV 21, that's on fire. Now I know it, so I don't even want to look at it. Like I don't, because I know my HRV needs some help and some love. But if somebody else like me thinks that their HRV is like a golf score and they want a low handicap, they're delusional, which I learned I was delusional. Where do they start? I mean, it's the sleep, obviously. It's what they're putting in their bodies. But I think a lot of people turn to like TRT, like, oh, I'll go get some TRT. I'll jump in a cold plunge and I'll put an Ooler on top of my mattress so I sleep colder. Like in reality, where do they need to start?
Yeah, so the health and wellness industry is one that has become like you see it everywhere. It's exploding. And health has become commoditized because you can sell any product you want as long as you promise more energy, weight loss, and better sleep. But the downside of that is we've actually failed to recognize that we're all so unique and also different, which is why we have to get down to the data points that we were kind of discussing. And if we reverse engineer this and know that heart rate variability has to be higher, higher is better. And for anybody who doesn't know,
I thought I was winning.
It's so funny. Anybody who doesn't know what heart rate variability is, HRV is the acronym. Heart rate variability is what it stands for. And what heart rate variability is looking at is it's looking at the difference in time intervals between each successive heartbeat. So Matt and I could both have a resting heart rate of 60 beats per minute. And simple math would tell us that, 60 beats per minute divided by 60 seconds would equal both of our hearts are beating at 1 beat per second. That's how we would think it would happen. But that's not how our body works. Our body only has our heartbeat when it has to. And so somebody who has a great rhythm in their life, has really positive habits that are optimizing for oxygen, nutrients, and detoxification, their bodies are like, man, I'm handling this great. I've got more capacity. Give me more. I can take on more. I'm ready. I'm resilient. And the time intervals will be like 795 milliseconds, 872 milliseconds, 477 milliseconds. So high degrees of variability between successive beats. But somebody who wakes up in the morning exhausted, their first drink of something is coffee, their first bite of something to eat is in the afternoon, and it's a burger or a leftover sandwich from the cafeteria. They're constantly striving, constantly pushing, constantly seeking validation, constantly trying to build a business and grow a business and manage a team and raise a family and get the kids to school and soccer practice, and they fall into bed exhausted at night. Their body's like, man, I just got to keep this guy alive. And the variations between beats might be 795 milliseconds, 790 milliseconds, 785 milliseconds, 792 milliseconds, a very low degree of variability, meaning you don't have a lot of
Capacity.
you don't have a lot of capacity, but you also don't have a lot of resiliency. And heart rate variability is the greatest measure that's non-invasive of biological age. How old are you cellularly versus how old actually are you? And so this is where we have to take heed on what heart rate variability is. And so if you have a low HRV, again, people are going to say, well, what's a good HRV? If you're 45 years old, you need an HRV number of about 50 to 70. That's what we want to see. That's the data, 5 million people that have shown us. If you want to have high degrees of resiliency, high degrees of capacity, and ultimately in a very good cellular age bracket, if you're 45 years old, you want to have an HRV of 50 to 70. Kind of gives, I'm guessing that's going to be a pretty good
we can make it even more real. I'll pull up my HRV.
There you go. Let's do it live.
I don't think you're going to like it. But I mean, I wear 2 wearables. I'm like obsessive about it, but I have both of them Bluetooth turned off. Like the people that get notifications on their watch, terrible idea.
Yeah.
Like Apple Watch, terrible idea.
So Matt is actually the definition and the example of somebody who's just watching himself decay.
No, I turn them off.
So he doesn't even.
Oh, dude, my heart rate variability last night was up.
Oh, awesome! Because you knew I was coming.
26.
There you go. So
I'm 35.
So at 35 years old, for Matt, what we would want to see is we would want to see your HRV somewhere around 55 to 80.
So the highest I've gotten in the last 6 months was on May 29th. It was 36. So that's not good.
I mean, I never say it's not good. There should be a high degree of awareness that it's not, it's just what it is.
Right.
It's that your body's communicating something to you. And whether you respond to it or whether you don't, going back to that concept of obedience, is solely dependent on whether you're going to walk yourself into a health issue.
Yeah, a grave.
5, 10, 15, 20 years from now.
Yeah.
It could be early onset dementia. It could be a heart attack. It could be diabetes. It could be cancer. It could be an ulcer. It could be colitis. Our body, it could be some type of autoimmune issue. Our bodies break in a whole bunch of different ways and uniquely because we're all unique and different, and thus the stressors break us in different ways. And so all that is an awareness tool, whether you use it or not, is simply based on your obedience, right? Because your body's trying to communicate something to you. It was created so uniquely and wonderfully that it has a language. And if we can help harness that language, that's when we can start to make a real change. That's when we can start to make a real impact. That's when we can start to personalize your journey so that Matt doesn't have to live like everybody else, trying to do all these different habits and stack these 45 things in the morning. No, what's going to move the needle for Matt? What do we have to focus on supplementally so that we can custom compound a supplement that Matt's actually missing at the cellular level so that he can actually replenish himself and actually start to change 2 or 3 things in his diet so that he can give his body nutrient density of what it needs, not what everybody else is trying to sell him.
And that's what you guys do.
We literally build a team that comes alongside of you. So you're going to have a mental performance coach, you're going to have a registered dietitian, you're going to have a strength coach, and you're going to have a functional medicine doc. All 4 people are on your team. They're going to be doing your DNA, cellular, and micronutrient testing, hormone paneling, putting a wearable device on you, attaching that device to our team every single day, and now they build your morning routine, your night routine, your training exercise plan and protocol, your nutrition plan and protocol. If you're traveling, they'll build a travel framework. So they'll be like, oh, Matt's traveling from Austin to LA. It's a 2-hour time change. Matt, here's your time change protocol that you're going to use for this trip. We know you're staying at the Ritz-Carlton downtown LA. We changed your exercise protocol for the 2 days you're there based upon what they have in their gym. So that now, like, you are literally just operating and acting in obedience to steward your body well so that it's not just, well, now I've got a trainer over here. I've got a nutritionist here. I've got somebody I talk to about functional health over here. I've got a therapist over here. No, everybody's on the same team because we're integrated beings. And if we're integrated beings, we have to make sure that we're stepping into what is powerful based on what our body needs. And so over this time, you're working on your identity. You're working on who you see yourself as. You're working on your heart. But you're also working on your body. You're working on your habits. You're working on getting into the gym and having a protocol and a program that is going to make sure that VO2 max is increasing. Not just from a strength standpoint, not just from a conditioning standpoint, not just from a recovery standpoint, but putting a program together that makes sure that that's happening, because if that's happening, oxygen is going up. We're going to make sure we're giving you a detoxification protocol. What does that look like to remove certain things from our lifestyle, from our habits, from our homes? Is there certain things we need to do, certain air filters we need to get? Is there, because of some responses that we're seeing, is there some type of cleanse we need to start with because of some of the data that we saw in the blood testing? Is there some foods we need to eliminate because of what we saw? Are there some things we need to start doing from a hydration standpoint to increase urination or decrease urination or change bowel movement frequency? Like, how can we start to change the detoxification process of the body so that we can start to realize the things we're needing? And then how do we get you into a deeper state of sleep? Like, how do we actually get into slow wave and REM sleep and get 38 to 50% of our total sleep time there so that our glymphatic system can actually turn on and remove the beta amyloids and the different plaques from the brain so that we don't put ourselves in a position for early onset dementia or Alzheimer's that we call brain fog? How do we eliminate these diabetic episodes and these pre-diabetic things in very fit people? Like, we're seeing more and more of it now. It's not just in the obese people, but it's in people who are fit, but their nutrient timing isn't right. When they're eating isn't right. The way they're sleeping isn't right, because the glymphatic system is the only thing that actually filters the brain, cleans the brain, pardon me, but then also helps regulate glucose and insulin. And we're the only country in the world that doesn't actually call Alzheimer's dementia what it actually is, which is type 3 diabetes, the inability to control blood glucose and insulin. And so when we start to see this, that there's hyper-personalized plans based around the data, we can then start to put these things into place. And the last one, like I said, is nutrients. And we start to personalize your nutrition routine. What do we have in the morning? What do we have at night? What do our meals make up? What are highly potent foods for us nutritionally, but then also from an antioxidant standpoint? And then how do we custom compound a single product supplement for you that now starts to heal you from the inside out? And when you do all of that, the thing that directs us in terms of needing to change plan or validates the direction we're going is heart rate variability. And we've got this now, this metric to help guide us, and these series of metrics that give us feedback, just like in our businesses. We've got all of these metrics that tell us whether we're going in the right direction or whether we're not. And it would be foolish to not look at those metrics on a daily, monthly, weekly, annual basis and say, oh, you know what? We need to change this up. I need to stop spending $100,000 a week on paid ads because they're actually not working. Imagine somebody goes, nah, I don't want to see that report. Just keep going. Just keep humming. Yeah. Just keep feeding it in. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, 6 months in, you're $6 million shy. Yeah. It's like, what's going on? Well, we had the report. You just didn't want to look at it.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing with our body.
So someone listening to this right now is like, man, that's what I want for my health. How do they find you? How do they find what you guys are doing? How do they tap into the power of what you built?
Yeah. So ownitcoaching.com is where you can find us. You can book a call right there with our team. Super amazing to be able to sit in and just, you're not going to get on the call and be like, hey, here's the program and sell you. It's like, hey, where are you at? What's going on? How can we help you? How can we build this for you? What changes do we need to make? Who needs to be a part of your team? What can this look like for you so that we can help you succeed? And how can we serve you in a big way so that you can win at the end of the day? Because we have to come back to the concept we were built to heal and thrive, but we need to do something different. So ownitcoaching.com is where they can find us and dive into everything there. And myself personally, you can find me on Instagram at Justin Roth. And
what about your books?
Yeah, I've got many books, but the most recent one that is a place that people can really go it's called The Power of Ownership. Redeem your health, live life by design, and break the relentless pursuit of normal. It's so cool just to see what's kind of happened there and the way in which that book has just really gone around the world and had a lot of influence and impact. And so that's another great place to start. My podcast, The Own It Show, is a good one. And then in 2026, I've got another book coming out. Super excited for this one, called Holy Health, The Waking Truth for a Sleeping World. So yeah, we're always creating, always building. And at the end of the day, like you said, just trying to serve people on the mission to redeem the health of the world. Because I truly believe if we can redeem the health of people, we can maximize their impact, influence, and legacy, because every single one of you has a call on your life that's unique, but we need this body to be able to do it.
Look, man, regardless of whether or not you inform me that I'm not under par on my HRV and I'm still have a terrible handicap there as well, it's been a true honor to sit down with you and have a deep and meaningful conversation, not just about health. Like, I think a lot of people will see your name, see what you do, pop on the podcast and be like, oh, just another health guy. But like, you're not that. There's so much more to you. And the thing I admire most about you is you're just always learning. Like, you're a student. You're a student. You're a student. And I think that's the greatest gift we've been given, is to just learn, to absorb, to experience. And it's been an inspiring conversation to have with you. So thanks for coming on.
Oh, it was awesome, Matt. I appreciate you. I appreciate your heart and everything you're building, everything you're doing. You are truly a man that abides by that same thing. You're constantly growing, constantly looking to improve. And I want to go back to what you said before. I want to just encourage you to continue to keep wrestling. Like, continue to keep wrestling, continue to keep searching. Because at the end of the day, the search that you're on, God is not lost. God's not lost. He knows exactly where you are. And you just have to find him in your way.
Yeah. Beautiful, man. Thank you again.